Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We've got a guest who I have only had a chance to meet occasionally, but I've certainly admired him for a long time because he has been on the front lines of heralding truth across this nation. And there's so much I could say about him, but let me hit the highlight and then let him do the talking. If you have never seen Runaway Slave, if you have never seen this documentary, this film, I suggest that after this call, you get on Netflix, or if you're one of those people who likes to have the hard disk in your hand, order it from Amazon or where you might order it from, or maybe he's got a way to do that and he'll tell you about it. But you need to see that film because it gives us so much hope about what God is doing and what people are doing across this country. And I'm speaking particularly now of black people, of Americans of African descent, what they are doing to bring the truth to the communities that we believe are right now being held in bondage. So without any further delay, let's hear from Dr. C.L. Bryant.
Thank you so much, Bishop, for allowing me this opportunity to speak to this particular conference. It is a signal honor for me, and Daniel, I thank you for hooking it up. And to all of you out there, thank you for joining us. The Bishop has said in his own way, and the way that I would express it as well, exactly how I feel about America. And I think that there is a core group, in fact, an army, that is rising up now to break whatever chains there might be that have been placed upon the psyche and the consciousness of this great land. America, as I have said on many occasions across this land and in other lands, is the greatest success story that the world has ever known. We have had the opportunity to produce the movie Runaway Slave, and if the Bishop said, if you have not seen it, please do. I've been questioned on several occasions as to why I would title a film with such a name that seemed to be inflammatory in some circles. And the reasoning for it was it took courage for that slave, that person trapped within a system, to say to himself, within himself, I want to be free. And whatever it takes to have what others around me that may not be of my skin color have, that's what I will do to have freedom. And he, of course, left that system where he was enslaved, shackled, fed, housed, without any guarantees that he'd ever see that freedom that he so desired. And even if it cost him his life, he was willing to sacrifice that to be free. And so it was with the Mayflower Pilgrims who left England, escaping the tyranny of a king, coming here to these shores. There was no guarantee that they'd ever see America, that they'd ever see freedom, or that they'd ever survive once they got here. And they said, just as that slave had said in his heart, whatever it takes, we will be free. And so the theme behind this idea of Runaway Slave is in the DNA of every true American, whether your ancestors came here on the Mayflower or whether they came here in slave ships like E.W.'s great ancestors and my great ancestors did. There runs a DNA that thirst for liberty and freedom. And friends, that must never go away in the American spirit. But it is under assault. There is no question about that. It's under assault by the enemies of the Republic. And we, in our prayers, should ask God to strengthen our hands to fight and our fingers to war against the enemies of this great Republic, this great success story that all of us now have become a part of, regardless of where our original ancestries may have come. And also, we are about to make a new film called Red, White, and Black. And E.W., both of us are from the South, I believe, originally. I know that I am, and I think you are originally from the South. And friends, there has been a healing that has taken place in the South because of a torn history and a bitter history that we have. And even there in Richmond, Virginia, just a few months ago, there at the Bow Tie Theater, we were able to fill an auditorium there with black and white people, nearly 50-50 in ratio of black to white, to watch this movie and then answer questions afterward. And I think the healing for our nation, because Southerners understand certain things about each other's character and each other's humanity that sometimes is missed on those who are from above the Mason-Dixon line. And we certainly want to examine that dichotomy and that phenomenon that is unique here in America. And, of course, I am a fellow with Freedom Works in Washington, D.C., and they helped me produce Runaway Slave, but this new film will be one that I trust will be just as impactful as Runaway Slave was. I want all of you to be looking out and looking forward to a new radio program that will be coming your way. It will be called Hardcore America with C.L. Bryant. It will be coming across the national radio airwaves. It will be syndicated. And we look forward to speaking to you about the foundational issues and the core values of our nation, the things that have made us who we are, and the things that keep us being a free people. And the bishop said very well that so much of our fabric is being worn away by those things that people deem to be politically correct. We are beginning to see an erosion, a huge erosion in this country. And being an African American and being a black man in this country, and we must deal with that elephant that's in this room, our national living room. It is an elephant that has race stamped across his forehead. And unfortunately, the conversation on race is not being made better by those who are in this administration, or by a president who I feel had a golden opportunity to build a bridge that no other president has ever had. So it is incumbent upon us, conservatives, people of faith, people of certain moral leanings, to take this conversation on and deal with it honestly. And I trust that we will be able to provide a vehicle that will be able to do that for all of us. I intend to partner with people like you who are listening, and Bishop Jackson and his constituents, to see to it that we elect statesmen to higher office. We have the type of government that we vote for. We can blame no one but ourselves for the type of government that we have still in this country. We complain and we moan about the type of things that go on in our nation, but I do not want us to forget that we have the power to change it all. And I trust that in this 2014 election in November, that those of you who believe and know that we can, because of our history and because of the way we have turned tides in the past, that we will once again take it upon ourselves and turn this tide that has led us to the abyss of ruin in this country, that has led us to a place where our children are being taught that America is the bad guy and that we are the demons in this world. This led us to a place where the American swagger that is in our step is no longer there. We as Americans must once again reclaim the blessings of liberty and then pass them on to our posterity. And people, you must understand this as well, that you show me how the attitude of your children toward you, and I will show you your future. I'll say it again. Show me the attitude of your children toward you, and I will show you your future. For soon they will be in charge of those things that we now firmly, or we think firmly, have our hands on. And so it is very important, it is imperative that we, in fact, change the nature and the direction of the conversation that has gone on in this country. We must deal with issues like our school systems. We must deal with issues of human life in this country. We must deal with issues of traditions in this country that have been the foundational cornerstones in this country. And we must deal with them openly and honestly and talk about them and not be afraid to talk about them when it comes to social issues as well as conservatives. As conservatives, we must no longer be afraid to talk about race in this country. I believe that 2 presidential elections have been lost because political candidates were timid when it came to dealing with and talking about race, because the candidate that they were opposing simply happened to be of a different color. We must deal with the foolishness that has taken place over the word colored. It's strange how you can say that we have the first president of color, but when we say that we have the first colored president, that raises a totally different issue. These type of semantics and these types of foolish rhetoric that we find ourselves engaging in and then losing elections too because we fail to deal with them head on must, in fact, be put away. And if we are to be once again that great nation and that shining city upon a hill to all people, we must deal with our own personal weaknesses and flaws. And so I thank each and every one of you for joining me here today. There is much work that we must do. I trust that we can start the discussion here on this phone call. Again, I encourage each and every one of you to download Runaway Slave on Netflix if you have not seen it, and share it with someone by purchasing it on Amazon if you have seen it, because it is a vehicle that we are using across this nation on college campuses and churches and in social gatherings to show just a few clips from it and then have what we call an honest discussion on race after each clip. Once you see the film, you'll notice and you'll note why it is that type of vehicle. I'll open up the conversation or the questions by leaving you with this. All of us are being placed upon and put upon by people who would, in fact, rob us of our freedom. And there is one statement that is made in the film by one of our participants. He says that the slave does not seek freedom. The slave seeks comfort. And it appears that the progressive liberals have figured that particular formula out very well. Mm-hmm. And not only have they used that formula of giving them a little comfort on a group of people, black folks, for over 50 years with the beginning of the Great Society of Lyndon Baines Johnson, but now it appears that that design has now taken effect on the rest of America. Mm-hmm. And the method of their enslavement is to provide those who seem to be in discomfort or those who seem to be within their grasp, to provide them something, a little more food in their bowls through the food stamp programs, a little bit more comfort as far as laying on a blanket, housing programs. The slave doesn't seek freedom necessarily as long as he can have a little more comfort. In America, it appears that we are falling for the comfort that government, big government, want to provide. But we send a dire warning that if they can control your health care, they control you. And truly, we must take a stand against anything that would rob us of our individual freedom, our God-given right to be free. And Amen. I thank you so much for being with us here today, and I'll be very happy to speak and talk to any of you out there at this time.
Thank you so much, CL, for those inspiring words.